Hey, Wayne, why don't you begin by telling me what the purpose of your organization, Keep in Touch? What is the purpose of it?
Well, Keep in Touch is an organization of handicapped people that are confined to their homes, will make phone calls from their homes to elderly people that are preferably 62 years of age and older that live by themselves in their own houses. And our job is to call them up every day and to make sure that they're all right. This is to make sure that they don't have an accident or an illness and go undiscovered for 2-3 days before somebody finds out. And if we have a certain time that we're supposed to call them every day, and if they do not answer, we find out why. We have a next door neighbor's phone we can call, or the ambulance, the police department, fire department, or relatives that we call, and they will go over and check, or we'll have someone from our own organization that will go over and find out why that person did not answer their phone. And besides, to make sure that these people don't go undiscovered every day or when they don't answer through accident or illness, we also make it a little bit cheerful, because these people are by themselves and usually the phone doesn't ring for weeks on end and they don't have anybody to talk to. Also, it's an assurance for the relatives that maybe that their grandmother or mother or father, that someone's looking after them and really shows an interest in them.
How are you going about getting names of these elderly and shut-in, Wayne?
Well, through the news media, the radio, television, the newspapers. We'll have articles out in the newspapers within the next few days, and some articles are already out in the surrounding papers. And such organizations that deal with the elderly people, such as the senior citizens and retired people and parents without partners, such organizations as this that deal with elderly people themselves. And there's also churches, and that's a good place that we find these lists of elderly people. And then direct mail. We go through voter registrations, and these people that register, we pick their names out and send them direct mail.
Now, you're a fairly new organization. When did you get started, and what kind of response have you had already in terms of getting names of elderly?
Well, we started with the voter registrations to direct mail, and we sent out 1,000. We have another 1,000 to be sent out. And we feel from the response, this wasn't the way to go about it. We've had 25 people call back that want the service. We still have to contact them. But 25 out of 1,000 is not the way to go about it. And, well, we know there's 20,000 people in Dallas alone that are 62 years of age and older, and half of those are definitely living by themselves. So we just are not hitting it the right way, and we figured this might be a better way to go about it.
Whose idea was the organization? How did it get started?
Well, Bill Brewer started it. He had a personal friend, an elderly woman that lived by herself, and she one day stepped out of the shower and fell. And she was unconscious, and she lay there for 3.5 days before someone found her. And when they did find her, she was real exposed, and they took her to the hospital, and she died a few days later. And other circumstances, like in the news a few weeks ago, there was an elderly lady, 95 years of age, that was in a wheelchair. Someone came in and tied her up, and she was robbed, and she ended up being killed. And it's situations like this, and Mr. Brewer thought this organization was really needed to get started. So he started it, and he was originally going to have the people that make the calls housewives. But he figured, well, the housewives have other things to do, children and their house to look after and go shopping, and they wouldn't be home all the time. And he thought, well, maybe handicapped people would be a good idea, because these people are usually confined to their homes and they have trouble seeking employment. And he just figured that this would be the ideal person to make the call.